You're watching State of Real Estate. And welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Chrismo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every single Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe icon so you get notifications whenever it is that we go live and we have new content to help you grow and develop your real estate business. Now, what we're talking about today are listings, and really listing prep specifically. Because what is it that you need to do with this property now that somebody has agreed to trust you to list the property for sale? Again, we've done tons of episodes before of how do you get in front of sellers, how do you try to present yourself as a valuable service to these clients, and maybe some of this comes a little bit more obvious, but what are like the main key things? You got your contract signed, and now it's time for you to do your job as a listing agent and get this house sold. So what does that look like? What is it that you do? Well, ultimately, we want to get the property, we got to get it online, and not just in the MLS, but online. And I say the MLS/online because the MLS is the way we typically get things online. However, it's not the only way we get things online. And as a matter of fact, what I would recommend as soon as it is that you've secured a listing is that you can pre-market your listing. Now, in order to pre-market your listing and stay in compliance with the Stellar MLS Clear Compliance Policy, you need to make sure you get a form signed called an authorization to exclude the property from the MLS. So that's a new thing that we won't go into detail on that, but that's something you would do in Florida, especially if you're a member of the Association of Realtors, which most people practicing real estate are. So once we get the authorization that we don't have to put this in the MLS yet. Now, why would we want to not put the property in the MLS right away? Isn't that the goal? Don't we want to get in the MLS, get it online, get it sold? Come on, market's hot, let's go. Well, yeah, but let's put a little rhyme and reason to this. Let's actually put some thoughts and some processes and some reasons why we're doing the things that we're doing and not just trying to go scale chaos. Because if you just go out there and you're just trying to, we'll throw it all together, that's just going to end up being chaos. So going in with a plan, having things that you need to do, having the structure, not only will that make your life easier, but your seller will appreciate that as well, because you'll be able to say, these are the things we're going to do, and then the seller will be able to see you do those things. So initially, we want to pre-market the property. We want to preview. And now what I'm going to walk you through today is maybe some things that most average real estate agents do not do. Now, I'm sure you're not tuning in here on State of Real Estate on Fridays just to be average, because that's not what the show is about. You don't need to watch the show if you just want to be average. But average isn't really that great. If you want to be a top producer, if you want to make over $100,000, $250,000, if you want to make whatever level of income it is that you want, that money's out there in real estate. There's billions, if not trillions of dollars of real estate in Florida. I'll have to look up the number of how much real estate is in Florida. There's a lot of money to be had out there. Everyone needs a place to live. There's businesses that need places to have an office, and restaurants, and all kinds of needs for real estate. But the biggest need really is in residential real estate. So say you've got a house that a seller wants to sell, and they want to get it sold as soon as possible, but here's why that's not something you want to do. You want to build the hype. You want to preview the property. You want to showcase an exclusive, hey, check this out. And what you're trying to do is build hype. You're really not trying to sell it at this point. Maybe it does get sold. In a market like we have today, that property might get sold before it even makes it onto the MLS, which is why the Clear Cooperation Policy is all about their crazy little form you need to get signed. But anyways, we're doing this primarily to build the hype. And yes, it does help potentially sell the property, because that property might sell before it even makes its way into the MLS, or it's going to also help get more attention, to get more showings, to get more people at the open house, to get more people interested in this property because they had more time to look at it. And what you're doing is you're forcing it to be on the market for more time when it's pre-market. Because when it's pre-market, oh no, we're not selling it yet, it's coming soon. That's what this is. It's a coming soon. If you are not doing coming soons, you are doing a disservice to your sellers. I will say that again. If you're not doing a coming soon, you're doing a disservice to your seller. Why? Because you're not building the hype. You're not elevating and fluffing this property like you could be to generate the highest and best price, which will result in your highest and best commission. That's the thing where we miss the connection on. We help our clients make more money. We're going to make more money right along with them because our commission is a percentage of the sale. So we want to do everything we can to help showcase this property. And here's the byproduct of this for us, the derivative of this is going to help us grow our business as well. This is going to help us better understand our customers because this is going to get us in front of our customers and this is going to get them actually talking to us. And this is going to help build your pipeline. And this is all before this is even listed. Now, with something like this, you could have your listing agreement signed. Again, make sure you get that little stellar MLS so they don't come arrest you for not putting this in the MLS right away. Because normally it's a requirement that as soon as you get a property listed, it has to go into the MLS unless you sign off on this exclusion form. And the reason why you want to do this, the reason why they created the need for this exclusion form is because there's a lot of realtors that are using this preview, pre-market, coming soon philosophy here. And some properties are even being sold before they even are listed. They end up getting offers above what they even want for the property before it even goes on the market. And in a market like today, that could happen. And even in a market that's not like today, that isn't as hyped up, that isn't as hot, that isn't as fast moving as today, more of a buyer's market, this is even more so important because this is going to help simulate an environment like we have today when we do this. It just pours gas on the fire when we do it in a market like we have today. And this also creates the opportunity for you not just to generate a bunch of potential buyers for this property, because here's the reality. Only one person is going to buy this house. Only one buyer. Maybe it's one person, maybe it's a couple, maybe it's a few people, who knows it is, but one buyer collectively, whoever that buyer is, will buy this. So every other buyer you have coming to you, they need a house. And if they're not working with a professional, you could be their professional. And so this creates a huge opportunity. Now, maybe you don't have time to work with buyers. That's okay. You could refer this business out to somebody who does have time to work with buyers. There's a lot of listing agents out there that are really good at listings, and they're so good at listings that they focus on listings and that they don't work with buyers. As a matter of fact, they refer the buyers out to somebody who does have the time to work with buyers, maybe somebody who more specializes in buyers. Why do you want listings? Because what you could do in 8 hours with a seller takes you 24 hours with a buyer. To close the deal, this is coming from the National Association of Realtors. This is not just some stat that I've made up. This is from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and it says on average sellers take 8 hours of working time. 8 hours of your time working toward getting this property sold. And that's start to finish, from what you're doing to get the listing appointment all the way up to your little follow-up. Hey, how's the house? Everything go good with the, how's the move? How are you liking the new place? To following up with them after they've already gone. 8 hours is the average for a seller versus with a buyer, 24 hours. This is why there are agents out there that specialize in sellers and listings, because they know they can accomplish 3 times the amount of work in the time it takes to just close one buyer. They could have 3 sellers. And when you're working with a seller, you're much more in control of the situation because you're controlling the inventory, you're controlling the product, you're controlling what the buyer ultimately is interested in buying. So even if you're not directly representing the buyer, you're still getting paid because you are the listing agent marketing this property for sale. So what else is it that you're wanting to do when you're first getting this started here? So we've got to pre-market the property. That should be priority number 1. And this pre-marketing, this is what's going to help you figure out all the stuff it is that you have to do for your final marketing. You know, one of the things it is that you're having to do is your public remarks. A lot of people take these public remarks for granted. The public remarks are the listing descriptions, the description of the property. It's basically what the real estate agent writes about this property. And look, you want to tell a story as you're giving this description. You want to walk people in, tell the story of walking into the house, and over here there's the kitchen that's blah, 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 and then you open into the spacious living room that opens into the grand master bedroom, or however it is that you're wording this. You're telling a story rather than just, it's a nice house, it's got blue walls, and it's on a pond. That doesn't sound like a very good listing description. And this is part of the reason why a lot of people do not actively seek out sellers and actively seek out listings, is they're afraid of the process. This process intimidates them. It's a lot easier to fake it till you make it with buyers. And I bet you, I could guarantee you, as a matter of fact, that fake it till you make it is what's causing people to take 3 times as long work with buyers, but it's easier with a buyer. The buyer doesn't have to commit to anything unless you're using buyer brokerage agreements. It's actually one of the things that I teach at one of my brokerages, using buyer brokerage agreements with buyers. Because if they won't commit to you, why are you going to commit to them? If you're working with a seller, sellers do not work with a realtor unless that realtor commits to them. You have to go and have a listing appointment to be able to get to this point where you can market the property for sale. But the thing is, if you don't know these things to do to get the property sold, this is going to seem really intimidating. It might feel like you cannot do this. Now, I promise you, this is actually much easier. That's probably part of the reason why this does take less time than working with a buyer. Overall, this is a lot easier to dial in, to systematize. There's a large part of working with a buyer that is, again, a big part of the buyer and them making this decision. Whereas the seller at that listing appointment, they're making the decision that they want to sell their home. So you're not trying to convince them of that decision. They've already made the decision that they want to sell it. That's why they're listing it. A buyer, you're trying to help them make a decision on which home is right for them. So that involves a lot more, but as a listing agent, you make buyer's agents' jobs easier with this. But not just that. It's not just that. It's also the photos. So that's also going to be something important. Now, I know a lot of realtors, myself included, because I've done listings in the past before where, I'll be honest with you, I took the pictures myself. So I've done there, I've been there, I've taken the pictures myself. And I know a lot of realtors out there still do that to this day. Hey, look, I've got this $1 million sales tool. It's also a camera. It also takes pictures. Primarily, I use this to connect with people, but I do use it to take videos and pictures and stuff like that as well. But if you hire a photographer, they're not going to come out there and show up with an iPhone. I don't care how good Steve Jobs or Jeff, or whoever who's in charge of, Tim Cook. Tim Cook is the iPhone guy now, the Apple guy. I don't care how good Tim Cook makes this camera sound. They're not going to do as good as a professional photographer who knows how to frame the setting appropriately to make sure that this listing is going to look its best. And that's the difference between a discount listing agent and a premier, a premium, an epic listing agent, is going that extra mile to make the property look good. Now, this is harder to do when you're dealing with smaller properties where they're not as expensive, and so the commissions are smaller. And that's where I've taken my own photos before, but here's the reason why that's a bad idea. Yes, it might be good enough to get the house sold, but I mean, really, if you had professional photos, even with an ugly property, you're going to be able to showcase it better, and you're probably going to be able to get a higher price when people could see it better before they show up there. Because a lot of people don't even want to show up until they see it online. They don't even want to go look at it, which is a good thing for buyer's agents because that's less showings. But the photos alone aren't just what you'd use to sell. So you got virtual tours. The virtual tours are cool. That's the things where you could like click through and almost like you're walking through the property. But here's the thing about the virtual tours, and the same thing about the photos. They don't tell a story. That's what your job is. Your job with the listing is to tell the story of how this home, this property, is perfect for whoever the ideal buyer is for this property. That's the story you're trying to tell. Words only say so much. Why are books always longer than the movies that the books are made after? The books are always like thousands of pages sometimes, or at least hundreds of pages. When the movie, they condense it all down, they cut a lot of stuff out, because in order to convey the same ideas, if all you're using is the written word, there's not much to convey. It takes a lot more words. It takes a lot more. Look at what I'm doing here. I'm doing this to give you more data, more than just my words. And the way I'm speaking, the speed, the inflection, the tone, all of these, that's way more data that's telling you more of a story as opposed to just the written word. So your written word, your public remarks are not going to be the sole thing that sells the property, and neither are your photos, because your photos are the visual equivalent of the written word. Your photos are the visual equivalent of your written word. And if we already know your written word isn't going to sell it alone, neither will your photos. That's why most people need to view a property, you need to see it in person. Now, during 2020, there was a lot of stuff that was forced to be done virtually, which forced real estate agents to adapt. And that's where you saw virtual tours become much more standard, to the point where today, if you've got a property, you should get a virtual tour done because that's going to expose it to a wider audience. And again, this is going to be what differentiates you from a discount listing agent. There's always going to be somebody out there who's willing to do it for less. What makes you better? Because you achieve better results, and this is how. These are the things it is that you do. But a virtual tour, that still doesn't really tell a story. So what tells the story? Exactly what you're watching right now. Maybe it's not live, because I'm live right now. Maybe it's pre-recorded. That's likely what it's going to be. You're going to get some sort of video tour done. You're going to hire some videographer. And there's tons of real estate companies out there that do this. If you guys need a good recommendation, call us up at the school. We've got people that do video. We could give you some good referrals. This video, this is your opportunity you have to tell a story. This is your opportunity you have to really showcase the property and give way more data than they're going to be able to get from the photos, from the public remarks, and really showcase this property in the best light that's going to be most appealing to this potential buyer. And all of this before it even goes in the MLS, because when it hits the MLS, you want it ready to go. You've already want the hype built. You already want the hysteria out there of, oh, this house is about to hit the market. You want people like at the starting line ready to go to the races for this property. And if you don't pre-market it, no one's going to know this property exists. No one's going to know this property exists until it goes on the MLS. And then what's going to happen, if it's priced appropriately, especially in a market like today, you'll get a bunch of offers. But how many more offers could you have gotten? How many more people could you have come to the open house that could be more potential buyer leads for you, or whoever it is you're referring these buyer leads to you, whoever you're referring them to? There's a lot of opportunity that comes from listings, and that's why people say things like you have to list to last. If you want to build a pipeline of business that can grow something bigger than yourself, this is your vehicle for doing that. Buyers are great. Buyers can pay the bills, and you might like working with buyers. I would venture to say, though, you're probably still not on this episode with me if you're like, I don't like listings. Listings are too much work. Forget listings. That's probably not you if you're still on here watching this with me. So if you're wanting to work with sellers, if you're wanting to work with listings, you want to take this seriously. You got to treat this like a business because you got to win against other agents to even get in this position. This is how you get in this position, by what you're going to do once you do get in this position. This is before we even list it. Anybody's going to list it in the MLS. But this is what we're going to do to help build the hype. So that way when this property does hit the MLS, there's already people waiting. They're waiting for that property to be available, so they're going to be submitting an offer right away. If we do a good job building the hype, if we price it appropriately, if all these other things come into play. But being that you're already got the listing agreement signed, you've already got a number in mind with the seller of what you're going to be pricing it at, and what we're focusing on today is, okay, now how do you go to the races? How do you actually make this happen? Sign is another thing. A for sale sign. Always have a sign. Always have a sign. Whenever you're allowed to have a sign, have a sign. Sometimes the HOA might be weird about it and give you extra rules as though you could have a sign here, or if it's like a condo or something like that. But if you're allowed to have a sign, you know how much it costs to buy a billboard? You know how much it costs that companies pay to advertise on the side of the road? And you could simply put your advertisement in this person's yard because it's your listing? You could do that from day one as this being coming soon. Get yourself a little coming soon sign. Hey, this property is coming soon. Build a little hype from the local neighborhood. This might get you some other potential listings and some other potential leads from other sellers in the neighborhood, other homeowners that are thinking of selling, and they're like, wow, this person's really doing a great job. If we sell, I think this is who we better use. I mean, look, they're way better than all the other agents we've seen. If people aren't saying that about you, you will not have a line of people to do business with you. If you want a pipeline, a full pipeline of people wanting to do business with you, you've got to impress them. And you don't impress them by trying to be impressive. You impress them by being good at what you do and being able to showcase what it is that you do. And this is an opportunity you have to showcase your skill set to your potential clients. Open houses would be another thing. You want to get one of those scheduled. And that's one of the things it is that you want to build the hype for. You want to build the hype about, hey, we've got an open house coming this weekend. This might be 2 weeks out that this open house is. This property might not even be in the market yet. As long as you got that little exclusion form signed with the MLS, you're not going to get yourself in trouble. So you could go out there and market this property before you've got it in the MLS. You go out there and say, hey, we're going to be holding an open house. If you're going to want to have an opportunity to buy this house, to see this house, if you want to be able to make sure you can see it before it's off the market because we've already taken all the offers in, you need to come to the open house either this Saturday or this Sunday or whatever times it is that you're doing that. Little preview videos, preview photos. There's so many ways it is that you can showcase what it is that you're doing to help get this property ready to go. Now, if all this stuff seems like really great information and you're like, wow, why didn't I learn this in my pre-licensing class? This isn't part of the curriculum of your pre-licensing class. Your pre-licensing class is about passing the exam so you can have a license to actually do this stuff. Because if you don't have the license, none of this info matters because you can't make any money with it. Once you have the license, now you could use this information, and that's where post-licensing comes in. So if you guys have not taken post-licensing yet, we've got live stream as well as classroom courses for post-licensing, and it's designed not to go this in-depth like we're going today, but to teach you a lot of these basic fundamentals. So a lot of this stuff is not new information to you. A lot of these pillars that you need to know of what you need to do to build a successful real estate career, what are those foundational things, that's what's covered in our post-licensing curriculum here. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we've got more on listing prep, on what you could do to get your listing ready to go on the market so that way you can command an offer at highest and best price and make your sellers happy, get you a bunch of leads in the process, and overall grow your business. So stick with us. I'm John Christopher. You're watching State of Real Estate. Have you completed your post-licensing education yet? Look, I know you're probably thinking, hey, it's not my renewal deadline, I don't need to do post-licensing yet, but look, here's why you want to do post-licensing as soon as you've got your real estate license, as soon as you're able to take post-licensing. It's not just another course about arbitrary laws that you're never going to use again. It's about real-world, usable topics that'll help you grow your real estate business, to help you take it to the next level. Look, let me ask you this one question. If this course helps you close just one deal, if you get one extra deal from post-licensing, is it worth the investment? I'd say it is. We get paid pretty well, so one deal means a lot of money. Check out postflorida.com. That's postflorida.com for the full details about post-licensing. State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Christopher. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every single Friday, as well as Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. Today, we're doing a show we like to call State of Real Estate, and this is our weekly business mastermind to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. This information, post-licensing, this is going to help you get started with this info here, and your brokerage is going to have further information, and we actually have some courses that we're working on here at Tampa School of Real Estate to go deeper into listings, to help you guys better understand this information, to help give you the tools for success, because ultimately, we are here to help you build that successful real estate career. There's one thing I know for sure about real estate, and that is that knowing the right things to do, this becomes very easy. Once you know the right things to do, this is a really easy way to make some money. And it creates so many opportunities. This can spiral into helping you build a real estate investing empire. You could build a real estate team. You could be starting your own brokerage someday. But it all starts with being able to master these simple things, like being able to effectively get a property sold. You know, maybe you're wondering, maybe you're in your first listing and you got the listing signed and you're over here wondering, can you do it? Am I able to do this? And you might be asking yourself those questions. You're like, what did I just do? Why did this person just trust me with their largest investment of their life? I can't mess this up. And if you're worrying about all the things it is you could do wrong, you won't pay attention to the things it is that you need to do right. But without the proper guidance, without the proper training, without the proper knowledge, it becomes very difficult to know what it is that you need to do. And so that's why we're here every Friday. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, subscribe. Before we start charging money, you guys don't subscribe, we're going to start charging money for these live streams because we get hundreds of people tuning in to our paid classes that we do this stuff for free, and only a few of you guys are here for the extra credit. That's what we consider this. This is extra credit. You're not paying to be here. Yes, we're doing this to help promote the Tampa School Real Estate brand, but we're doing it in a way that we know will help people. We want to help you get listings, because you get listings, you'll stay licensed in real estate. You'll refer other people that want to get licensed in real estate with us. Now, if you can't figure out real estate, well, that makes us look bad by association. So that's why we're here. We're on a mission to help you achieve your dream real estate career. And if that involves selling real estate, I would highly recommend you make listings part of that puzzle. One other thing I'll throw up here, this is more of a technical detail, but also the lockbox. An electronic lockbox. Not one of those little combination deals from Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever it is, Walmart. Anybody could go buy one of those little combination deals, and those combination things are not secure. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I've worked with investors and properties that are vacant and not very expensive, I've used those combination lockboxes before, but when I want to position myself as a premium service, I want to use premium tools, because that helps me look premium. If I'm doing everything as cheap as I can on my end, why are you going to pay top dollar when your realtor doesn't pay top dollar? Well, what kind of realtor charges top dollar? And it seems like a good business idea. Like, okay, I can eliminate all my expenses. I'll take my pictures of my iPhone and I'll do all this stuff myself. I'll figure it all myself. I'm going to do it all on my own, so I've got no expenses. But that doesn't provide the best experience to your clients. And when you don't provide the best experience to your client, you lose that word of mouth, that viral capability that you have to grow. So I highly urge you to position yourself as a premium offering, to go above and beyond. You know, if you've got somebody that doesn't want all these bells and whistles, then yeah, you can negotiate out what it is you're going to cut and what that's going to ultimately cost. But if you don't have this premium offering, how are you ever going to command a higher price? How are you ever going to be able to charge more for your services if you don't offer more value to your clients? This is how you offer value to your clients. These are the things that you are able to do to help showcase and market that property effectively. There's also postcards that you could send out. Postcards, digital ads, all kinds of ways to get further exposure on this property, to help draw attention in, because that's really what your objective is, number one. Once you've got a property ready to be listed, it just isn't on the market yet. You're getting everything ready. You got your MLS, all the photos dialed in. And look, let me tell you something about the photos. Your photos should tell a story. How do you tell a story with just a bunch of random photos? The sequence. The sequence is so important. Because whatever sequence you put those photos in the MLS is going to be the same exact sequence you see on Zillow or on any of these websites. So you want to tell a story with these photos. You've got to make sure that it makes sense. Don't just throw a bunch of drone photos at the beginning. People don't care what the roof looks like. I mean, they kind of do, but that's not the first thing they want to see. They don't want to see 10 different photos of different angles because you hired a drone photographer. That's cool that you've got a drone photographer. That's going to help, but put those pictures at the end. What do people want to see? They want to see the bathrooms. They want to see the kitchens. They want to see the view. They want to see the things that make that property unique, not the roof. Most of all, you got to look at the roof. That's one of my pet peeves when I go through a listing and I got to go scroll through a bunch of extra photos, like click, because they got a bunch of garbage and a bunch of nonsense at the beginning. And me as a professional, I know not everybody is a professional. Not everyone will tell a story with their photos, so I know I've got to go above and beyond when others don't go above and beyond. However, if you go above and beyond for your seller in your listing and you tell a story with your photos, you won't have to worry about the buyer's agent going above and beyond, because you've already gone above and beyond to set those photos in the order that tells a story. That is your goal. That is what marketing does, is it tells a story. You're trying to tell the story of this property, of how this might be a great fit for the potential buyer. And you're also trying to tell the story about yourself. That's kind of a backstory, a little side story going on along with this here, because you don't want to make the video all about yourself, but that video is a great opportunity to present yourself in that best light, along with the property, along with all the other things it is that you're doing. So these are the things it is that you want to know to get your property ready, to get your open house set up, to get everything ready to go. And in a market like today, if a property is priced appropriately, you do all this, you're going to be overwhelmed with offers that you get coming into the property. And what that does is that opens the potential for a bidding war to get the highest and best price, to sell properties for above asking price. But you got to provide a premium offering if you want to be able to do that. If you're not doing all these things, if you're not checking all these boxes, if there's some opportunity that you have on the board, ask yourself the question of how you can improve that part of your offering. That's what today is all about, is how is it that you provide a better service to your seller? And that's really what your job is now that you've got that listing contract signed. You're servicing your client and getting them ready to get as best as possible. Now, In a market like today, usually if a property is overpriced or it's a very high price, maybe it's a higher price range, because if you're dealing with maybe multi-million dollar properties, those do take longer to sell. Those usually don't get overwhelmed with offers the first day. They could, but typically because there's less people who can afford those higher price homes, they take longer. So any property that's taking longer because it's just in a higher price bracket or because it's overpriced or whatever the reason is that maybe the market isn't as hot, whatever it is, maybe you guys are watching this video 5 years later, who knows, and the market's completely different now. So what do you want to do? You want to follow up. You want to keep showing that you're doing all these things. You're going to constantly do this. It's just going to twist from being coming soon to now available, to just listed, to open house, to price reduced. Because if this property doesn't get sold, you got to reduce the price. Just because the market, everybody thinks the market is so hot right now, there's still an overpricing point. Let me be clear with you. There is absolutely an overpricing point. There's only so much money that houses will sell for, regardless of what's going on in the market. And so a lot of sellers are learning that lesson the hard way right now, where they're like, oh yeah, it'll sell for anything. So list it for $5 million. This house is only like $300,000. $5 million. Somebody will buy it. There's no houses out there. Call up Jeff Bezos. Tell him he needs a house here. Tell him to go buy my house for $300,000. Some people are just unreasonable like that. And you know that's why you want a full pipeline. You need a full pipeline because you will have some people that are a little out there with their ideas, whether it's they think they get $5 million for a $300,000 house or whatever it may be. But let's say this is a client and we've got to reduce the price. Well, when we reduce that price, it's not the best thing to go say, yeah, we reduced the price, woo! But it's going to draw some attention in. It's going to people looking at the property, but now it's going to have a different connotation to it. Oh, you're reducing the price? Well, how much lower will you go? So ideally, you don't want to get stuck in having to do price reductions. You want to price it right from the beginning, get it sold in like a week or 2 weeks. This should not take more than a month, even in a slower market. Even in a slower market, you shouldn't be taking more than a month to get the property under contract. Right now, it should be going under contract probably within a couple of days if it's a more average priced home. And all these things, yes, the price is an important factor of this as well, so don't get me wrong there. But regardless of what that price is, the more you do of these things, the more you do of these activities, the more exposure you'll get, and the closer, or maybe you might even surpass, whatever price it is that you've got in mind. So look, that's about all the time it is that we have for today. Now, like I said, if you're wanting to learn more about this stuff, if you haven't taken post-licensing yet, post-licensing is such a fundamental course that's designed for everyone that has completed your pre-licensing course. It's designed based on the knowledge you'd have coming out of pre-licensing to now teach you the real-world side of real estate, to get you introduced to it, I should say, because it's not going to teach you everything. It's impossible to teach that all in just a 45-hour course, but it's going to give you a great introduction to a lot of the fundamental aspects of how real estate business is done, of how you price properties to sell, how do you present an offer to a seller, how do you present multiple offers to a seller, how do you prospect to get these leads in the first place, and how do you convert those leads into clients. This is all topics that are covered in our post-licensing. And again, this will not teach you everything, but it'll teach you what you absolutely need to know when you first have your real estate license. So as soon as you're licensed, you're eligible to take this course. Take it as soon as you're licensed. Call us up. We have live stream as well as classroom courses. And if you don't even have your real estate license yet, we actually have a bundle we call our Complete Jumpstart Bundle. And what this is this includes our pre-licensing course, our exam prep tools, so that way you can be prepared to pass your exam on the first try. So all of our pass first try study tools are included in that. And on top of that, we also include our post-licensing course in that Complete Jumpstart package, because that is our complete jumpstart to not just get you the real estate license, but once you have the license, that's where the post-licensing comes in to learn those real-world concepts so you actually know how to use this tool that you now have, this license. It doesn't use itself. It's up to you to use the license. You need to know how to use it. You know what not to do from your pre-licensing course, all the laws and rules it is that you can't break and all the things you're supposed to do, but now how do you use that to actually make money, not just not break the law? It's good to know how to not break the law. That's important, don't get me wrong. You don't want to break the law. You want to know how to not break the law, but that's not going to teach you how to make money. That's not going to teach you how to use that real estate license to create wealth. Post-licensing isn't going to teach you everything, but it's going to get you started. It's going to teach you those things that you need to know when you're first starting out, and teach it in a way that makes sense to somebody who just graduated from the pre-licensing course, to somebody who just got their real estate license. So if you need to take that course or get your real estate license, call us up. If you already got the course and you're struggling to pass your exam, one of the things we're best known for is helping people pass their real estate exam. We have a whole website, passfirsttry.com, where we've got a recommended strategy to pass your class and state exams on the first try. We've invested a lot in building these study tools, so we're not just good at teaching the courses, but also helping you guys get past this exam. So whatever it is you need help with, give us a call, 813-333-2676. We have advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way that they can. The phone number is 813-333-2676. You can also find out more on our website, tampaschool.com. Again, that's tampaschool.com. Make sure you guys are subscribed to these videos. Every week we're here Mondays and Wednesdays to help you mastermind or grow your real estate business, to take it to the next level. This is your extra credit. You don't have to pay for this. You just have to pay in time. You do have to pay. You have to pay your time. That's what this costs. Show up here, and I promise you these videos will have little bits and pieces that'll help your business grow further, to put you in the right mindset, the right frame of mind to be able to grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up button if you guys like today's episode. If you want us to talk more about listings, sellers, making money, maybe it's money you're just all concerned with, we could talk about that too. So hit that thumbs up button on this video as well as any other videos of ours that you'd like, because we do use that to gauge, what topics do people want to find out more about. So let us know, drop us a comment. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Wednesday next week for Ask the Instructor. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you then.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State